Echoes Beneath the Sand. Chapter 1. The assignment. Evelyn Harper had seen her fair share of strange assignments, but nothing quite like this. A nondescript envelope had arrived at her university office. No return address, just a stamp marked Top Secret and GPS coordinates pointing to the heart of Nevada. She assumed it was a mistake until her phone rang minutes later. A calm, bureaucratic voice confirmed her worst suspicion. The Department of Defense was requesting her expertise. "You'll be briefed upon arrival," the voice said, then clicked off. Less than 48 hours later, she stood in the scorching sun, the endless desert shimmering around her. Black SUVs approached silently, their windows tinted darker than legally allowed. Men in grey uniforms greeted her without expression, confiscated her phone, and ushered her into the convoy. They said one word: Groom Lake. Her blood turned cold. Area 51. Chapter 2. Descent. After hours of driving and a series of increasingly invasive security clearances, Evelyn found herself in an underground complex that buzzed with quiet urgency. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, and the walls were a pale shade of institutional grey. Scientists scurried past her without eye contact. She was led to a briefing room where a holographic display hovered in the air. A bald man in a lab coat gestured to it. "We've detected rhythmic seismic activity originating from a depth of over 15 kilometers directly beneath Sector 9. Evelyn frowned. "That's impossible. No equipment can drill that deep." "We didn't drill," he replied. "Something's coming up." Chapter 3. Discovery. The elevator ride down took over 10 minutes. The shaft descended into an excavation site unlike anything she'd ever seen. The walls were carved with precision, and the rock layers showed no signs of human tools, like they'd been melted through. At the bottom was the structure, a perfectly symmetrical pyramid of jet-black stone, levitating inches above the ground. "It started vibrating 2 weeks ago," the lead engineer said. "Since then, we've lost 3 teams. No signs of struggle, just gone." Evelyn stepped closer. Her breath fogged as the temperature dropped unnaturally low. Strange glyphs shifted along the surface of the pyramid, moving like ink in water. She reached out instinctively, then stopped. The humming intensified. Chapter 4. The Opening. Later that night, the vibration crescendoed into a deep, resonant tone. Alarms blared. Emergency lights flashed as doors slammed shut throughout the base. Evelyn rushed to the excavation chamber and watched in horror as the pyramid cracked open like an egg. From inside emerged a swirling mass of light and shadow, humanoid in form, but impossible to focus on. It floated effortlessly, whispering in a language that bypassed the ears and went straight into the skull. Every screen in the base displayed the same symbol, an eye surrounded by concentric circles. Evelyn recognized it. It was found in cave paintings all over the world, always buried deep, always shunned by local tribes. It was the mark of the forgotten ones. Chapter 5. Contagion. In the following days, the facility deteriorated rapidly. Researchers began experiencing shared dreams, visions of ancient cities under alien skies, of ritual sacrifices and monolithic structures floating above oceans of stars. Some couldn't sleep at all. Others refused to speak. One technician tore out his own eyes, screaming, "They're watching through me!" Evelyn reviewed the footage of the previous expeditions. The missing teams weren't dead. They were walking into the structure voluntarily, eyes glazed, as if in a trance. And the entity? It wasn't just a being. It was a conduit, a doorway. Chapter 6. The Door. The pyramid was merely the tip of the iceberg. Further scans revealed an entire network of tunnels radiating from it like veins. Evelyn led a team to explore the nearest one, now dubbed the Vein. What they found was a city, miles beneath the surface. Buildings of unknown material and impossible geometry rose into a black sky. Gravity worked differently here. Time slowed. One soldier aged 50 years in a matter of minutes, collapsing into dust before their eyes. The walls whispered names. Some were hers to Chapter 7. The Sacrifice. The entity finally spoke clearly one night, using the body of a young intern as its vessel. "We are the seed. We sleep until the soil is ready." Evelyn understood. Humanity wasn't alone in the universe. Worse, it wasn't the first. The seed had planted itself across galaxies, waiting for sentient species to reach a certain level of development, then consuming them to propagate. The countdown had begun. She initiated a desperate plan. Collapse the tunnels, bury the pyramid, destroy the seed. Chapter 8. Fallout explosives lined the perimeter of the underground city. Evelyn stayed behind to ensure detonation. As the final charge blinked, she recorded a final message. "To whomever finds this, we opened something we couldn't understand. Don't look for it. Don't dig. Let the desert reclaim it." She pressed the trigger. The earth shook for miles. Surface sensors picked up a massive explosion, but satellite footage was quickly scrubbed. Official reports claimed a weapons test gone awry. 15. The team that survived the fallout, what few remained, spoke in fragments, if they spoke at all. Dr. Malik, one of Evelyn's former colleagues, had gone completely silent for 13 months. Then, one night, under sedation, he whispered a single phrase. "It's blooming." They found him the next morning, dead from asphyxiation. Not because of external wounds, but because his lungs had filled with fine, black spores. The autopsy revealed something more terrifying. Root-like tendrils embedded in his spine, stretching toward his brainstem. The spores were not native to Earth. Under a microscope, they twisted into geometric patterns, symbols. Elsewhere, seismic readings around Groom Lake showed pulsing at regular intervals. The frequency was the same as the human heartbeat. Satellite images, enhanced through thermal filters, showed something massive beneath the crust, sprawling out from the original impact site like roots touching neighbouring states. A garden, a colony, a nervous system, one that was learning, one that was waiting, one that had already begun germination. Then, 3 days after Dr. Malik's death, a private SETI dish in Australia picked up the same phrase Evelyn had once scrawled in her final notes, now beamed from within Earth itself, transmitted from multiple locations in perfect sync. Nikoloth returns. The harvest will be beautiful. Chapter 1. The Arrival. James Morgan parked his rusty pickup truck on the dusty road leading to the mystical and enigmatic Area 51. As a retired aerospace engineer turned investigative journalist, he felt a magnetic pull toward the secrets buried deep within the Nevada desert. This was a pilgrimage of sorts, a quest for truth that had haunted him for decades since his first encounter with UFO enthusiasts at a county fair in Roswell, New Mexico. Over the years, James had been drawn to various conspiracy theories and the mystique surrounding government cover-ups. Area 51 had captivated the imagination of many, and he was determined to uncover its hidden truths. Armed with notebooks, a camera, and years of experience, James stepped out into the scorching sun and felt the dry desert air whip around him. He arrived in the small town of Rachel, known as the gateway to Area 51, a beacon for those who dared to seek the truth about unidentified flying objects and potential extraterrestrial life. The locals, a mixture of skeptics and believers, had created a vibrant culture around the UFO phenomenon. The Little Al Inn, with its quirky alien decor, beckoned him for a much-needed rest and a chance to gather stories from fellow seekers of truth. Chapter 2. The Stories. Sitting at the bar in the Little Al Inn, James struck up conversations with several eccentric patrons. "You've got to hear about the lights over the base," one said, leaning closer, wide-eyed. "Every Wednesday night they do tests. The sky lights up like Christmas. People say they've seen crafts, discs, spheres, hovering right above the fence," another chimed in, excitement palpable in his voice. "Last summer, I saw a triangle shift shape right before my eyes. Unbelievable." As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the desert, James took notes, intrigued by the stories and testimonials. The witnesses were vivid in their recounting, some fear-filled and others exhilarated. He began to feel the weight of responsibility. He held their stories in his hands, ready to share them with a broader audience. Underneath the laughter and camaraderie was a shared yearning for acknowledgement, understanding, and perhaps hope that the truth about their experiences would someday be known. Chapter 3. The Research. The following day, James set out to explore the perimeter of Area 51. Armed with his camera, he captured the stark beauty of the desert landscape juxtaposed against the imposing gates and warning signs that read, "Restricted area, no trespassing." His heart raced as he felt the thrill of being close to a place rumoured to defy the boundaries of human knowledge. He climbed a nearby hill, hoping for a vantage point that might grant him a glimpse of what lay beyond the fortress-like walls. As he surveyed the area, the sheer scale of the facility overwhelmed him. It seemed to stretch endlessly, with radar towers and hangars dotted across the landscape, a silent sentinel of secrets. James captured photos, his mind racing with possibilities. That evening, as he reviewed his footage back at the inn, he stumbled upon an anomaly, a flickering light in the distance. It flickered, shifted, and then disappeared altogether. Could this be a sign of something extraordinary? His excitement shot through the roof. James knew he had to dig deeper to find out if there was more to the mystery than just hearsay. Chapter 4. The Conspiracy Deepens. James soon found a contact, a former employee of Area 51 named Mark, now living in California under a different identity. They arranged to meet in a quiet diner off the highway. Mark was an unassuming man, slender, with tired eyes that spoke of years carrying secrets. Determined not to back down, James kept pushing. They organised a public forum to disclose their findings, inviting witnesses and experts in ufology to share their truths. It was risky, but they felt empowered by the community rallying behind them. The night of the forum was electric. Local media buzzed with anticipation, eager to cover the unveiling. James took the stage, presenting the evidence, the footage, the testimonies, the experiences of those willing to step forward. The reception was overwhelming. Voices of support rose, people shared their untold stories. It felt like a turning point. Chapter 9. The Reckoning. However, not everyone celebrated the revelations. Shortly after the forum, a letter arrived at the motel addressed to James. It warned him to stop digging. threatening dire consequences should he continue his investigation into Area 51. With mounting fear and determination, James reached out to Mark again. "We need to meet. It's urgent," he said. That night, Mark arrived at the diner, looking more frazzled than before. "They're onto you. They have agents on the ground trying to find you," Mark warned anxiously. James felt a pit in his stomach. "We can't stop now. If we do, they win. We need to dig deeper and expose everything we've discovered." "Are you ready for the consequences?" Mark replied, his tone grave. "If we don't stand up now, when will we?" James responded, a newfound fire igniting within him. Chapter 10. The final expose. With Mark's help, they organised a more secure operation, bringing in allies from investigative journalism, law enforcement, and even sympathetic government officials. They planned a major expose connecting the activities at Area 51 to broader government secrecy. They launched a multi-pronged approach: a documentary, an online campaign, and direct outreach to authoritative figures in the media. The momentum grew, drawing attention from news outlets across the nation. Finally, the day arrived for the documentary premiere. As it streamed live, James felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. The documentary detailed the history of Area 51, testimonials from witnesses, and evidence captured over the months of investigation. The world would finally see the truth. But just before they went live, a notification pinged on his phone. A message from an undisclosed number reading, "You've gone too far. Stop now, or face the consequences." Chapter 11. The Storm. Nonetheless, the documentary launched and the world responded. Viewers flooded chat rooms, forums, and social media, discussing the implications of the cover-up. It became a cultural phenomenon, sparking debates across the globe. James's phone buzzed non-stop, calls from journalists, producers, and curious fact-checkers wanting to delve deeper. However, the backlash was swift. The military issued statements denouncing the documentary, calling it fiction and misleading. The government's response heightened the stakes. Rumours circulated about investigations into those involved in the documentary, including threats against James. One night, as he stepped out for a breath of fresh air, James noticed a black SUV parked down the street, engine running. He felt a wave of dread wash over him. They had found him. As he rushed back indoors, his heart pounded in his chest. Chapter 12. Facing fears. Gathering with colleagues, James concluded they could no longer operate in the shadows. "We need to stand firm," he declared, determination etched in his face. "If we allow them to intimidate us, we lose everything." Finding allies in unexpected places became crucial. Former military officials, aerospace experts, and whistleblowers began collaborating to share their stories, creating a united front against the suppression of truth. As the network grew, they devised a strategy to expose the ongoing activities at Area 51 publicly. Chapter 13. The Gathering Storm. Tensions peaked as James and his allies planned a public rally at Area 51. They invited supporters, former insiders, and activists eager to push for transparency. Drone footage, testimonials, and a live feed would broadcast their message worldwide, ensuring their shared truths could no longer be silenced. On the day of the rally, hundreds showed up, a sea of faces filled with hope, curiosity, and passion. As James took the stage, he felt empowered by the crowd. "Today, we stand united as seekers of truth," he proclaimed. "We demand accountability from those who hide in the shadows." Media outlets covered the event from every angle, broadcasting interviews with witnesses and experts. A palpable sense of change hung in the air. This was no longer just a personal mission. It had become a movement. Chapter 14. A New Era. In the weeks following the rally, the world shifted. Public demand for transparency surged, triggering investigations into governmental secrecy surrounding Area 51. Former officials began speaking out, revealing years of deception regarding advanced technologies and alien encounters. James's documentary reached new heights, drawing international attention and inspiring others to investigate long-buried truths, while the government struggled to maintain control over the narrative. Chapter 15. The Legacy of Truth. Months passed, and James found solace watching the world evolve. Conversations about Area 51 blossoming, an open dialogue igniting curiosity rather than fear. He recalled his initial motivation to seek the truth and felt fulfilled. He had helped unveil one of the biggest mysteries of the modern age. Sitting in the little alien once more, he reflected on how far they had come, raising a glass to the friends and allies he had made along the way. The battle for truth would likely never end, but they had made significant strides, igniting a fire in generations to come. As James looked out at the Nevada desert, the sun setting behind the mountains, he remembered the stories whispered on this land, the ones waiting to be told. With renewed determination, he knew he would continue his quest. The truth had a way of awakening something profound within humanity, and he was committed to ensuring those whispers never faded into silence again. "I worked there for over a decade," Mark said, glancing around to ensure they were alone. "Most of what you hear, aliens, experiments, reverse engineering, is true. But what you don't know is what's happening now. They're still covering up projects that could change our understanding of physics." James leaned in closer, hungry for more. What kinds of projects? Things beyond your imagination, Mark continued, voice low. We weren't just developing aircraft. We were working on propulsion systems that could defy gravity. The military has been experimenting with technology that could... Suddenly, Mark's gaze shifted nervously, and James felt the weight of the moment. He sensed they were being watched. He pressed further, but Mark refused to divulge more without protection. You need to understand, Mark warned. The closer you get, the more dangerous it becomes. Chapter 5. The risks. Returning to Rachel, James felt a mix of exhilaration and fear. The pieces of the puzzle were coming together, but the stakes were rising. He knew he needed to verify Mark's claims, find a way to get evidence. He reached out to several UFO researchers and journalists, forming a coalition to bring their findings to light. As news of his investigation spread, so did the warnings. Strange cars followed him whenever he ventured near Area 51. Late-night phone calls that hung up as soon as he answered. He felt increasingly paranoid, but he also felt liberated. He was on the brink of uncovering something monumental, a revelation that could change the world's understanding of humanity's place in the universe. Chapter 6. A tipping point determined, James planned a bold move. He would infiltrate the outer area of the base, hoping to document evidence of the mysterious activities taking place inside. He gathered equipment, night vision goggles, a small drone, and recording devices. His allies helped him strategize a route, a plan to avoid the watchful eyes of the guards. Under the cover of darkness, James set out, the adrenaline coursing through him. Every step felt like a ticking clock, and with every sound, he braced for the worst. After navigating through rocky terrain, he reached an opening in the outer fence near the perimeter. His heart pounded as he switched on his drone, watching it lift off and soar into the night sky. The small device navigated through the darkness, capturing footage as it hovered over the base. What he saw sent chills down his spine, unidentified flying objects darting across the screen, traveling at speeds unimaginable with conventional aircraft. Chapter 7. The Discovery. Just as he began to process the footage, a spotlight swept across the ground, illuminating him in an instant. Panic hit hard. Screams erupted from nearby guards. With no time to think, he bolted toward the exit as shouts echoed behind him. "Stop! You're trespassing!" they yelled. James sprinted through the brush, heart racing as he evaded the incoming headlights of military vehicles. He barely made it to his truck, jumping inside and flooring the gas pedal. Heart racing, he glanced back at the chaos he left behind, knowing he had just scraped the skin of the monster lurking beneath the surface. Once safe in his motel room, James reviewed the footage on his laptop. His hands trembled as he showed the captured images to his friends and colleagues. "We need to go public," he declared. "This is it, the proof we need." Chapter 8. The Fallout. Yet, as they prepared to release their findings, a heavy anxiety settled over the group. The threats continued to escalate. Mysterious figures loomed in the shadows, watching their every move. One night, a fire broke out at their meeting location, a clear warning that someone wanted to silence them. Chapter 1. The Draw of the Unknown. In the heart of Nevada's desolate landscape, where the sun beat down mercilessly on the parched earth and the wind whispered secrets long forgotten, lay Area 51, a military installation cloaked in mystery. From conspiracy theorists to curious travelers, people were drawn to its secrets like moths to a flame. Among them was Jake Parker, a passionate documentary filmmaker who aimed to unveil what lay behind the infamous gates of this enigmatic base. Jake's obsession with Area 51 began in childhood, fueled by tales of flying saucers, government cover-ups, and extraterrestrial encounters. The lore surrounding the base had transformed it into a pop culture phenomenon, and his dream was to create a documentary that would expose the truths hidden away from the public eye. As he packed his gear, a mix of excitement and trepidation filled his heart. Chapter 2. Setting the stage. Jake arrived in the small town of Rachel, the closest civilian settlement to Area 51. It was a quirky place, decorated with alien-themed signage and memorabilia, populated by locals who had either embraced the law or shied away from it. He checked into the Little Ailey Inn, a small motel that served as a hub for enthusiasts. Over a cup of coffee in the diner, he met Sarah, a journalist from New York, who was also investigating the area. Their shared passion for uncovering the truth sparked an instant connection. "I've heard some wild stories," Sarah said, looking over her notes. "People claim they have seen things that can't be explained." Jake leaned in, intrigued. "What's the craziest you've heard?" "Well," she began, "there was a man who swore he was abducted and brought to a ship where he met aliens. He described their technology as beyond our comprehension." Jake's mind raced at the possibilities. What if there's more to these stories? What if the government knows something we don't? Chapter 3. The journey begins. The next morning, armed with cameras and a drone, Jake and Sarah set out for the perimeter of Area 51. As they drove along the empty roads, the reality of their mission set in. The military presence was palpable. Warning signs dotted the landscape, admonishing trespassers and fueling Jake's determination to uncover the truth. This is it, Jake said as they reached the desolate stretch of road leading to the base. As they parked and set up their gear, he felt the weight of anticipation hanging in the air. Behind the high fences and watchtowers, they knew something significant lay hidden. Let's get some aerial shots, Sarah suggested, her excitement contagious. They launched the drone into the sky, its camera capturing stunning views of the infamous base. As the drone hovered over, they noticed something strange, a flash of light darting across the sky. Did you see that? Jake exclaimed, adjusting the drone's camera for a better angle. The mysterious light moved in a way that defied conventional aircraft. Could it be? Sarah trailed off, her eyes wide with disbelief. Chapter 4. The Unexpected Encounter. As they analysed the footage, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting eerie shadows across the desert. Just as they began to pack up, they heard footsteps approaching. The sound of crunching gravel sent a chill down their spines. "Who's there?" Jake called out, spinning around to face the darkness. From the shadows emerged a tall man wearing military fatigues and dark sunglasses. "Identification," the man demanded, his tone grave. "We're just filmmakers," Jake stammered, scrambling to find their press credentials. The man narrowed his eyes, studying them closely. "You shouldn't be here. This area is restricted for a reason." Jake's heart raced. "We're just trying to document the stories. The truth needs to come out." The soldier paused, seemingly weighing the situation before handing back the credentials. "You have no idea what you're getting into. Leave while you still can." With a curt nod, he turned and walked away, leaving Jake and Sarah shaken. They exchanged glances, the reality of their mission dawning on them. This was no simple investigation. They were entangled in something much larger. Chapter 5. The Descent into Mystery. Determined to uncover more, Jake and Sarah decided to stay another night in Rachel. They gathered information from locals, piecing together their findings, but most were tight-lipped, wary of implicating themselves in the intrigue surrounding Area 51. One elderly resident, however, opened up after a few drinks. "I've seen things," the old man whispered as they sat at the bar. "Strange lights, crafts that move faster than anything we have. And the government? They're hiding it all from us." Jake's curiosity deepened. "What do you mean? Have you ever encountered one of them?" The man simply shook his head. "It's not about what I saw, it's about what they don't want you to see." That night, as they reviewed their footage, Jake recalled the soldier's warning. "Maybe we should consider pulling back. This could get dangerous." "But the story is right in front of us," Sarah replied, her eyes ablaze with determination. "We can't walk away now." Chapter 6. The Secret Entrance. Despite the risks, the itch for discovery proved too strong. They devised a plan to infiltrate the base. Using information gleaned from the locals, they located a rumoured entrance hidden in the surrounding hills. Armed with flashlights and their cameras, they set out under the cover of darkness. Navigating through the rocky terrain, they finally stumbled upon an unguarded hatch half buried in the sand. Heart pounding, they pried it open and descended into the bowels of the base. The air was stale, and the only sounds were their footsteps echoing against cold concrete walls. They wandered through hallways lined with faded markings and unfamiliar symbols. Jake's pulse quickened as they stumbled upon a large control room filled with screens displaying live feeds from various parts of the base. "Can you believe this?" Sarah whispered, recording everything. "We're actually in the heart of the mystery." Suddenly, a door swung open and they froze as a group of scientists entered, deep in discussion. "We need to increase security measures. If they discover what we're doing, it'll cause an uproar," one said. Realizing they were overhearing something deeply classified, Jake motioned for Sarah to retreat quietly. They darted back down the corridor, adrenaline surging through their veins. Chapter 7. The Chase. Just as they reached the hatch, an alarm blared, flooding the hallways with red light. "Run!" Jake shouted as they scrambled back through the base, the fear of capture driving them forward. They could hear footsteps gaining on them, voices shouting orders. Bursting through the hatch, they sprinted into the night, hearts pounding. They didn't stop until they reached their car, breathless and terrified. The reality of what they had just witnessed pressed heavily upon them. "That was insane," Sarah gasped, trying to catch her breath. "But did you hear what they said? They're hiding something big." "Yeah, and we almost got caught," Jake replied, forcing himself to focus. "We need to get this footage processed and out there." Chapter 8. The Fallout. Back in Rachel, they edited the footage late into the night. As dawn broke, they finally compiled their findings into a coherent narrative. They highlighted the ghostly figures of scientists discussing secrets, the live feeds displaying restricted areas, and their harrowing escape from the base. The moment they hit upload, the anticipation was palpable. Would the world care? Would they be silenced? Or would they be hailed as heroes? They shared the documentary on multiple platforms, watching as views surged. Comments flooded in, some praising their bravery, others questioning what they had seen. But with exposure came threats. Jake received a series of ominous messages warning him to back off from Area 51. "You're treading in dangerous waters," one read. It was a stark reminder of the danger they faced. Chapter 9. A New Path. Despite the threats, the documentary gained traction, attracting media attention. Jake and Sarah were invited to speak at conventions and podcasts, igniting further interest in the mysteries of Area 51. They became symbols of curiosity and courage, drawing others into the world of investigation and discovery. One night, as Jake gazed up at the stars, he reflected on how much had changed in just a few short weeks. "What do you think we should do next?" he asked Sarah, contemplating their next adventure. "I think there's so much more out there," she replied, a mischievous smile forming on her lips. "We can't let fear dictate our journey. Let's go where the stories lead us next." Chapter 10. Legacy of the Unknown. Their quest led them to other locations linked to UFO phenomena, engaging with communities that shared stories of unexplained encounters and mysterious phenomena. Each adventure revealed not only tantalizing tales, but also a deeper understanding of why these mysteries captivated humanity. Jake realized that Area 51 was just the beginning. Their documentary sparked a movement among enthusiasts and truth seekers alike. They unearthed forgotten stories of abductions, sightings, and government cover-ups. Together, they formed a network dedicated to uncovering truths shrouded in secrecy. As he looked toward the future, knowing that the unknown was limitless, Jake understood that the quest for truth was not just about uncovering what lay in Area 51. It was about the collective human experience, the boundless curiosity that propelled them forward into the cosmos, and the desire to understand their place within it. Each journey reminded him that the mysteries of the universe were meant to be explored, forever pushing the boundaries of understanding, unearthing the secrets that lay hidden in the night sky, waiting for the brave to discover them. Epilogue: The Eternal Darkness. Years later, as Jake glanced through the lens of his camera, he still felt the excitement of discovery wash over him. He had traveled across the world, sought the truth, and met countless individuals who had shared their stories. Yet deep down, he knew this thirst for knowledge would never fully be quenched. The night whispered secrets, and he felt the pull of the unknown. An endless journey waiting to unfold, with each new discovery offering just a glimpse of what lay beyond, ever beckoning him to explore the infinite darkness. Chapter 1. The Whispers of the Desert. In the heart of Nevada, where the sun scorches the earth and the winds sing eerie tunes, lay a top-secret military installation known as Area 51. To the untrained eye, it looked like a mere dot on a map, surrounded by vast stretches of emptiness. Yet, to conspiracy theorists and thrill-seekers, it was a treasure trove of unimaginable secrets. Megan, a young journalist with a knack for uncovering the truth, was determined to dive headfirst into the mysteries surrounding Area 51. Her fascination with the unknown began in her childhood when her grandfather had shared tales of UFO sightings and government cover-ups. The recent resurgence of interest in the area prompted Megan to embark on an investigative journey that would change her life forever. Chapter 2. The Gathering Storm. With her camera slung over her shoulder and her notepad in hand, Megan set off toward Nevada, excited yet apprehensive. As she drove through the arid landscape, she recalled the whispers she had heard from locals. Tales of strange lights in the sky, experiments on extraterrestrial life, and secret aircraft that hovered silently above the desert. Little did she know, the deeper she delved, the more dangerous her quest would become. Arriving in the small town of Rachel, Nevada, Megan felt the electrifying tension in the air. The locals were friendly but evasive, shying away from discussing anything related to the base. In the tiny diner, she overheard snippets of conversation, mentions of the black projects and Phoenix lights. Her gut instinct told her that she was on the verge of something monumental. Chapter 3. Into the Shadows. That night, Megan decided to camp near the perimeter of Area 51. The stars shone brightly against the dark canvas of the sky, yet her heart raced, knowing she was close to the unknown. Overnight, her dreams were haunted by visions of spaceships and strange beings. At dawn, she woke to the sound of engines. Peering through her binoculars, Megan spotted a convoy of military vehicles heading towards the base. Heart pounding, she captured photos, hoping they would provide critical evidence for her story. Suddenly, she noticed a figure watching her from a distance. Cloaked in shadows, a man dressed in black, his eyes fixed intently on her. Chapter 4. The Mysterious Stranger. The man approached, his face obscured by the wide-brimmed hat and dark sunglasses. "You're not supposed to be here," he warned, his voice low and grave. Megan's instincts screamed at her to flee, but curiosity held her in place. "My name is Ethan," he said. "There are things here that humans were never meant to understand. You need to turn back before it's too late." Megan stood her ground, adrenaline pumping through her veins. "I have to know the truth," she replied, her voice steady despite the tension. Ethan chuckled softly. "The truth can be both a gift and a curse. Are you prepared for it?" Unbeknownst to her, Megan had crossed a line. The man in black was more than just a guard. He was a part of a secretive organization that protected the truths hidden deep within the zone. Chapter 5. The revelation against his better judgment, Ethan agreed to share a glimpse of the truth. He led Megan to a hidden entrance, obscured by layers of desert rock. The pair descended into darkness, where the world outside faded into oblivion. Along illuminated corridors, they discovered rooms filled with alien technology, maps of the cosmos, and specimens that were undeniably not of this Earth. Everything Megan believed to be fiction was laid bare before her eyes. "Megan," Ethan spoke, breaking the heavy silence, "the government has been collaborating with extraterrestrial beings for decades. The technology you see here is far beyond our current understanding. But this knowledge comes with risks. If the wrong hands get this information, the consequences could be catastrophic." Megan's head spun with the implications of what she witnessed. She had come seeking the truth, but the weight of the secret felt unbearable. Chapter 6. The Consequences. As they left the underground lair, alarms blared, the walls trembling as the base went into lockdown. "We need to get out of here," Ethan shouted. They sprinted down the hall, pursued by guards who were too well trained, too prepared. Megan's mind raced with thoughts of her exposure, her articles, her credibility, the ethics of revealing what she had just learned. Outside, the desert felt alive, the wind swirling around them as they made their escape into the open air. After a narrow escape, Megan and Ethan sought refuge in Rachel. Furtive glances exchanged between them spoke of mutual understanding. The burden of knowledge could be heavy. Chapter 7. The Untold Story. Back in the city, Megan faced an existential decision. Should she publish her findings? The truth about Area 51 could shake the very foundations of society. But keeping it hidden felt like complicit silence. In a moment of reflection, she chose to write, but in a way that obscured the raw truths. Articles on UFO sightings and theories about government secrets poured out, drawing attention while shrouding the reality behind the blur of fiction. Yet, Megan knew in her heart that the fight for understanding wouldn't just end here. The mysteries of Area 51, the enigma of extraterrestrial life, lay waiting. The story was not over, it was just beginning. And in the shadows of the desert, the whispers continued, urging echoes of curiosity to seek the truth behind the veil, always beckoning the brave to confront the unknown. Epilogue. The Call of the Unknown. Years later, as she stared out at the night sky filled with distant stars, Megan contemplated her journey. The stories she told had ignited countless minds, leading them down their paths of inquiry. What she learned that fateful night would haunt her, but it also fueled her passion as a journalist. Beyond Area 51, the universe remained an enigmatic abyss, full of questions yet to be answered. The story would continue, and perhaps one day, the truth would no longer remain a secret but a shared reality. The next chapter unwritten, waiting for someone brave enough to seek it. As Megan closed her eyes, the whispers of the desert filled her heart, a reminder that the unknown is never truly far from reach. Chapter 1. The Call to Adventure. It all began on a sweltering August afternoon in 2023, when Jake Thompson received an anonymous email that would change the course of his life forever. Jake was a freelance journalist with a keen interest in the unexplained and a penchant for conspiracy theories. The message was simple, yet tantalizing. "If you want to know the truth about Area 51, meet me at the Little Alley Inn on September 1st at 7 p.m. Bring your recorder." The mysterious invitation sent shivers down his spine. Area 51 had long been a topic of debate and speculation, the nucleus of countless conspiracy theories since the 1950s. It was whispered to be a site where the US government conducted experiments on alien technology, built advanced aircraft, and engaged in cover-ups that made the public question what they really knew about extraterrestrial life. With a heart full of excitement and trepidation, Jake marked his calendar. He knew he had to go, not only to satisfy his curiosity, but to uncover the truth that lay hidden behind the tightly woven fabric of secrecy and speculation. Chapter 2. The journey begins. The drive from his home in Los Angeles to Rachel, Nevada, was a long one, filled with the anticipation of the unknown. As he traversed the barren landscapes and vast open skies of the Mojave Desert, he was reminded of the countless stories he'd read about UFO sightings and government cover-ups. The closer he got to Rachel, the more alive those stories became in his mind. Upon arriving in Rachel, he checked into the Little Alley Inn, a modest establishment adorned with alien-themed memorabilia. It was the heartbeat of UFO enthusiasts, attracting those who dared to seek answers. The inn buzzed with excitement that evening. As fellow truth-seekers gathered, Jake felt a sense of belonging, a community eager to share tales of encounters and experiences. Chapter 3. Meeting the Informant. At precisely 7 p.m, Jake entered the inn's dining area, scanning the room for any sign of the mysterious informant. After a few minutes, a man in his late 40s approached him, a grizzled figure with deep-set eyes and a wary demeanor. "Jake Thompson?" the man asked, extending a hand. "I'm Mark Sullivan." "Nice to meet you, Mark. So, you have something to tell me about Area 51? Jake replied, intrigued. Mark hesitated, glancing around before nodding subtly. "Let's talk outside." The two stepped onto the porch, the desert air heavy with anticipation. Mark revealed he had once worked at Area 51 as a systems engineer. He was afraid of the repercussions of speaking out, but believed the public deserved to know the truth. Jake's pulse quickened as Mark divulged secret projects that were far beyond the realm of current technology. "We reverse-engineered alien spacecraft," Mark said, voice barely above a whisper. "And the military has technology that can manipulate gravity, create cloaking fields, and even communicate with otherworldly beings." Jake's eyes widened in disbelief. "Why come forward now?" "Because I can't keep silent anymore. Lives are at stake, Jake. People deserve to know what's really happening." Chapter 4. The research deepens. Over the next few days, Jake and Mark collaborated on an investigation that would take them deeper into the mysteries surrounding Area 51. They collected testimonies from former employees, locals, and researchers who had spent years trying to unveil the truth. Each story painted a darker, more complex picture of government operations than Jake had ever imagined. He learned about the Black Projects, classified experiments that included not just alien technology, but advances in military drones, artificial intelligence, and biological research. All conducted under the guise of national security, many witnesses expressed deep regret about their involvement. "One day, you wake up and realize the lies you've been part of," said an ex-Air Force pilot who requested anonymity. "I flew missions over Area 51. We didn't even know what we were escorting." Jake felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration as he documented these encounters. The evidence was mounting, and with each passing day, his resolve strengthened. He knew that the more he learned, the more dangerous the game became. Chapter 5. The First Threat. As their investigation progressed, Jake started receiving anonymous threats. Late at night, he would get phone calls that hung up as soon as he answered. Disturbing messages appeared in his inbox, warnings to stop digging or face dire consequences. While meeting with Mark one afternoon, a black SUV parked across the street from the inn caught Jake's attention. Its occupants, unnervingly still in their seats, seemed to be watching them. He caught his breath. "Mark, we might be in over our heads. This isn't just a story anymore. It feels like we're being hunted." Mark's expression hardened. "We have to keep going, but you're right. We need to be careful." Chapter 6. The Gathering Storm. Jake and Mark decided to host a public meeting to share what they'd uncovered. They aimed to attract more witnesses and supporters, believing that the louder they shouted, the less likely the government would be able to silence them. Word spread rapidly, and on the night of the meeting, the Little Alien was packed. Jake stood at the front of the room, heart racing as he introduced Mark. The audience was a blend of skeptics and believers, each person eager to hear the truth. Mark shared his experiences, and the room buzzed with energy, people stepping forward to share their stories. A sense of camaraderie filled the air, proof that they were united in their quest for the truth. Jake felt a surge of hope. Together, they could make a difference. Chapter 7. Confrontation in the desert. Yet, as they celebrated their small victory, the threats escalated. One evening, as Jake returned to his motel after a long day of interviews, he found his door ajar. Fear gripped him as he cautiously entered the room. Papers were scattered across the floor, his laptop was missing, and a chilling message was scribbled on the wall. "Stop, or else." Realizing they had crossed a line, Jake and Mark decided to escalate their plan. If they were to expose the truth, they needed definitive evidence. They researched the layout of Area 51 and planned a nighttime infiltration, their most dangerous endeavor yet. "Tonight, we expose everything," Jake declared, adrenaline coursing through him. They gathered gear, night vision goggles, a high-resolution camera, and a drone for aerial footage. Chapter 8. Into the heart of secrecy. Under the cover of darkness, Jake and Mark approached the outskirts of Area 51. Their hearts raced as they maneuvered through the rugged terrain, cloaked by the shadows. They managed to find an unguarded entry point and slipped inside the facility. As they navigated through the labyrinth of hangars, they were awestruck by the advanced technologies unveiled before them, hovering crafts that defied physics and military planes that seemed to belong to another era. Jake began filming, capturing every moment of their heart-stopping exploration. But as they moved deeper into the base, the air shifted. A feeling of being watched washed over them. Suddenly, alarms blared. "Run!" Mark shouted, panic in his voice as they dashed toward an exit, their hearts racing. Chapter 9. Escaping the shadows. The two sprinted through the hangars, narrowly escaping the guards' pursuit. The fear of capture loomed over them like a dark cloud as they exited the facility and raced back to their vehicle. "There's no way we can go back," Jake said, breathless yet exhilarated. "We have to get out of here and get this footage to the world." They drove through the night, stopping only to gather their thoughts and check the footage. Their discovery could change the world, but it also put them in greater danger. Chapter 10. The Fallout. Back in Rachel, they worked tirelessly to edit the footage and prepare for a live stream event. Yet, tensions escalated when they received a final warning. An anonymous call threatened them again, but this time with a personal touch that chilled Jake to his core. "You have no idea who you're messing with. Stop now, or you will regret it." With no turning back, they prepared to share their findings with the world. Chapter 11. The Live Stream. The day of the live event arrived. Jake sat in front of a camera, flanked by Mark, both looking earnest yet exposed. As they began to broadcast their footage, revealing secrets and testimonies from former insiders, the response was immediate. Thousands tuned in, their chat scrolling at lightning speed. Support poured in, but so did skepticism and threats from trolls and disinformation agents. Nevertheless, the momentum continued to build, and national news outlets began picking up their story. Chapter 12, The Reckoning. Little did they know, their actions provoked a massive response from the government. Within days, federal agents began visiting Rachel, interrogating locals and pressuring them to recant their statements. Jake and Mark found themselves facing not only the threat of government retaliation, but also overwhelming public scrutiny. As the story gained traction, they received both encouragement and threats from powerful figures seeking to discredit them. "Stay strong," a fellow investigator told them. "You might be risking everything, but you're not alone." Chapter 13, A Twist in the Tale. In a surprising turn of events, one of the higher-ups in the government contacted Jake directly. They sought a meeting to discuss the ramifications of their recent expose. "Oh, this can't be good," Mark said, frowning, but Jake felt it was an opportunity. They arrived at a discreet location, and the government representative laid it out clearly. "We can make this go away for you. You have no idea how deep this goes. Forget what you think you know, and we can protect you." "Protect us?" Jake echoed, frustration boiling beneath the surface. "This isn't about protection, it's about the truth." The representative leaned closer. "The truth is only what the public can handle. You're playing with fire, my friend. Don't be a martyr." Chapter 14, The Final Decision. With fear and anger brewing inside them, Jake and Mark chose to reject the offer. They understood that the truth could not be bartered for safety. Instead, they would rally support from the public to continue their fight, determined to unveil the secrets that had remained buried for too long. Together, they rallied resources, creating a movement that echoed across the country. They gathered testimonies, more evidence, and a legion of support, illuminating the darkest corners of Area 51. Chapter 15, A Legacy of Truth. Months passed, and as public interest surged, the government was forced to acknowledge the growing calls for transparency. Facing immense pressure, they began releasing previously classified documents surrounding Area 51, albeit in a controlled manner. Jake and Mark's journey had ignited a beacon of awareness, and while they knew the fight was not over, they had created a strong foundation for change. Their story reverberated through documentaries, news articles, and public discourse. As Jake stood on a stage during a rally for transparency outside the gates of Area 51, he felt a mixture of pride and resolve. "We are here to seek the truth," he declared to the crowd, his voice ringing with certainty. "History won't forget this, and neither will we." Chapter 1, The Myth and the Intrigue. In the summer of 2023, the internet was buzzing with excitement over the 5th anniversary of the notorious Storm Area 51 event, which had been a viral sensation but ultimately a peaceful gathering. Among those captivated by the site was Lucas, a tech-savvy conspiracy theorist and amateur filmmaker from San Francisco. For years, he had been fascinated with the tales of aliens, secret military projects, and the enigmatic black-budget operations rumored to take place within the confines of the Nevada desert. For Lucas, Area 51 was more than just a military base. It was a symbol of the unknown, a doorway to questions that humanity had pondered since the dawn of time. With plans set to investigate this legendary site, Lucas gathered his gear: cameras, drones, notebooks, and camping supplies. His goal was simple: to debunk myths, or perhaps uncover the truth that many believed had been buried beneath layers of secrecy and government jargon. Chapter 2, The Journey to Rachel. Lucas drove for hours, the sun slowly sinking into the horizon as he approached the small town of Rachel, the gateway to Area 51. The dusty streets were dotted with quirky shops, advertising souvenirs and t-shirts emblazoned with UFOs and the slogan, "I want to believe." As he parked outside the Little Ale Inn, the only motel in town, he felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Inside, he met other enthusiasts, experts and fellow truth seekers, each eager to share their theories and stories about the mysterious base. Over a few drinks, Lucas heard whispers of alleged alien encounters and top-secret experiments. He took copious notes, nodding as locals recounted their encounters with strange lights in the night sky. As the night wore on, Lucas returned to his motel room, scrolling through his research on his laptop. He uncovered stories of whistleblowers, government denials, and clandestine projects like the Aurora aircraft. Each piece of information intensified his determination to explore the area, to seek out the truth hidden behind the walls of Area 51. Chapter 3, The Stakeout. The next morning, Lucas drove toward the entrance to Area 51. A massive sign greeted him: "Restricted area, no trespassing." The air felt thick with anticipation. He parked his car at a designated viewpoint just outside the perimeter, a position that provided a clear view of the base without breaching the law. He set up his equipment, the anticipation buzzing in the back of his mind. For hours, Lucas captured images of the horizon, his eyes darting between the sky and the ground, searching for any sign of activity. As the sun reached its zenith, his patience began to wane. Frustrated, he began to conduct interviews with tourists and enthusiasts who funneled into the area throughout the day. One tourist, a woman named Sarah, claimed she had seen a flying saucer up close and personal during her visit to Roswell a few years prior. Fascinated, Lucas recorded her story, his curiosity piqued by her fervour. Chapter 4. The Unexpected Encounter. As dusk approached, Lucas's eyes were glued to the sky. Suddenly, he spotted something glimmering in the distance. Heart racing, he grabbed his camera, adjusting the lens for a clearer view. It was unlike any aircraft he had ever seen. A metallic, triangular craft darting between the clouds with mesmerizing agility. Before he could capture a decent shot, the craft darted out of sight. Frustrated, he cursed under his breath but remained on high alert. Then, a nearby figure clapped him on the shoulder, startling Lucas. "Did you see that?" It was Ethan, a local conspiracy theorist with unkempt hair and an enthusiastic glint in his eye. He was known for his wild stories and outlandish claims, yet Lucas felt drawn to his passion. "I did. What was that?" Lucas asked, adrenaline coursing through him. "Probably one of ours, but some say it's not just ours," Ethan chuckled, leaning in closer. "You're here to uncover the truth, aren't you? Join me tonight. I know some places we can go for a closer look." Lucas hesitated, but ultimately decided to follow Ethan's lead. The promise of adventure was too tantalizing to resist. Chapter 5. The Secret Passage. As night enveloped the desert, they drove to a desolate area a few miles from the base. Armed with flashlights, Lucas and Ethan hiked through the barren landscape, the stars twinkling, an infinite testament to the mysteries that lay beyond Earth. "Over here," Ethan whispered, motioning towards a low hill obscured by sagebrush. They climbed quietly, and as they reached the summit, Lucas's heart raced. Before them lay a series of fences and a small, seemingly abandoned watchtower on the outskirts of Area 51. "This is where the magic happens," Ethan said, peering through binoculars. "They're testing something tonight. I can feel it." Lucas was both terrified and exhilarated. Ignoring the warning signs blaring in his mind, he recorded the scene. Just then, the lights on the watchtower flickered and shadows moved within. Was it just his imagination, or were figures inside? Suddenly, a loud noise echoed through the night. A vehicle approached, its headlights piercing the dark. They hurriedly ducked behind a rocky outcrop, adrenaline coursing through their veins as a security truck rolled by, scanning the area with a spotlight. Chapter 6. The Discovery. Once the coast was clear, Lucas and Ethan crept closer, their breaths shallow. They found an access panel partially hidden under the brush. With trembling hands, they pried it open, revealing a steep staircase leading down into darkness. Lucas looked at Ethan, who nodded, his excitement palpable. The duo descended into the shadows, clutching their flashlights tightly. The air was cool and damp, thick with secrecy. As they ventured deeper, they came across a large chamber filled with technology, unlike anything Lucas had ever seen. Blinking lights, humming machines, and walls adorned with strange symbols. "This is it," Ethan exhaled in wonder. "We're in the heart of it all." Lucas quickly began filming, capturing every detail. In the center of the room, a large glass case held what appeared to be a metal object emanating an otherworldly glow. "What is that?" Lucas asked, approaching the case cautiously. "No idea, but it's definitely not ours," Ethan replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "This is the proof we've been looking for." As Lucas filmed, his heart raced. The implications of their discovery were colossal, but before they could fully process the gravity of their find, an alarm blared throughout the facility, red lights flashing ominously. Chapter 7. The Escape. "Run!" Ethan shouted, and they sprinted back toward the staircase as guards flooded into the chamber. In their haste, they barely managed to evade capture, bursting out from the darkness into the cool night air. They scrambled up the hill, their hearts pounding as the guards' shouts echoed behind them. The vast desert spread out below like a dark sea, a stark contrast to the chaos they had just escaped. Once they reached safety, Lucas turned to Ethan, breathless. "Do you think they saw us?" "They may have seen something," Ethan replied, anxiety in his eyes. "But we got proof. We have to get this footage out there." As they made their way back to the car, Lucas knew they were in deep trouble. The footage he had captured could change everything, but at a cost. They needed to be cautious. The government would stop at nothing to protect its secrets. Chapter 8. The Choice. Back in Rachel, they huddled in Lucas's motel room, reviewing the footage. The exhilaration turned to dread as they began to understand the implications of their find. With great excitement came great risk, and the last thing they wanted was to attract unwanted attention. "Think about it," Ethan said, pacing the room. "We present this as a documentary, show the world what's happening in Area 51. Lucas's brow furrowed in thought. "But what if they come after us? We've already been seen. Are we ready for that kind of backlash?" Silence enveloped the room as they faced the reality of their situation. Lucas felt a sense of responsibility. The truth was too important to ignore, but the danger was palpable. As the hours passed, they pored over the footage, crafting a narrative that wove their adventure with the evidence they had gathered. The decision was made. They would edit the footage into a compelling story and release it online, prepared for whatever consequences may come. Chapter 9. The Aftermath. Days later, the documentary was published, and the response was explosive. Viewers were captivated by their thrilling adventure and shocked by the revelations. Online forums buzzed, conspiracy theories ignited, and news outlets clamored for interviews. But with success, Chapter 1. The Call of the Unknown. In the heart of the Nevada desert, hidden beneath layers of mystery and conspiracy, lies Area 51, a military base that has captured the imagination of millions. For some, it represents government secrets, while for others, it signals the unknown possibilities of extraterrestrial life. One of those captivated was Amanda Wright, a budding investigative journalist driven by an insatiable curiosity and a childhood filled with tales of UFOs and covert operations. Amanda grew up in a small town in Ohio, where the tales of Area 51 were repackaged in schoolyards as fables, each more elaborate than the last. Inspired by her grandfather's stories of seeing lights in the sky, Amanda often found herself daydreaming about what lay beyond those high fences and patrolling guards. Now, years later, and armed with a camera and a notepad, she was ready to chase her dreams into the deep heart of the desert. Chapter 2. The journey begins. As Amanda drove toward Rachel, Nevada, the sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the flat terrain. The dusty road was flanked by sparse bushes and the occasional outcrop of rocks. With each mile, the excitement built, but so did the solitude of the landscape. The only company was the rhythmic thumping of her heart as thoughts of what awaited her danced in her mind. Upon arriving in Rachel, the small town enveloped her like a warm embrace, strange and welcoming, yet laden with secrets. The Little Ale Inn stood as a monument to all things alien. Amanda checked in and quickly made friends with the staff, learning about the local lore. Each tale carried a kernel of truth, hinting at the fantastical. That evening, in the dim light of the diner, she struck up a conversation with a local named Dave, who claimed to have seen an object hovering above the base. It was unlike anything I've ever witnessed, bright as the sun and silent, he said, eyes sparkling with nostalgia. You could feel it in your bones. A different kind of energy. Chapter 3. Entering the Unknown. Amanda's resolve grew stronger with each person she spoke to. The next day, armed with her camera and a map she had pieced together from various sources, she made her way to the outskirts of Area 51. The landscape shifted as she approached. The air buzzed with a foreboding tension that both excited and terrified her. As she arrived at a roadside viewpoint, the imposing gates loomed ahead, adorned with warning signs that read, "Restricted area, no trespassing." She set up her equipment, her heart racing with anticipation and fear. Suddenly, a convoy of military vehicles passed, stirring the desert dust as they navigated the road to the base. "I need to get closer," Amanda thought, when, almost as if drawn by an unseen force, she decided to explore the nearby hills for a better vantage point. From the rocky heights, she could see the sprawling complex, a grid of buildings and hangars, where she imagined secrets were locked away. Chapter 4. Whispers on the Wind. After an hour of scouting the perimeter from afar, Amanda's attention was drawn to subtle movements in the sky. She spotted a glimmering object darting in and out of the clouds. Was it a drone? A military aircraft? Her heart raced as she fumbled for her camera, documenting every second, but the object vanished just as quickly as it had appeared. Frustrated yet determined, Amanda decided to head back to her car. On her way down, she stumbled upon a low-lying entrance partially obscured by sagebrush. Curiosity overtook her common sense. What if this led to something significant? With shaking hands, she brushed aside the foliage to reveal a metal hatch. Heart pounding, she carefully opened it, revealing a dark stairwell descending underground. She hesitated. Was this a trap or an opportunity? The thrill of discovery won her over, and she descended cautiously into the dark. Chapter 5. Secrets of the Depths. The faint hum of machinery vibrated through the air as Amanda stepped into a corridor lined with flickering fluorescent lights. The walls were covered with unfamiliar symbols and diagrams, maps of the stars prominently displayed among secretive charts. She had stepped into a hub of clandestine activity. Suddenly, she heard voices approaching. Panicking, Amanda ducked into a nearby room, her breath caught in her throat. She peered through the door's narrow crack and saw two scientists engaged in an intense discussion. They talked about new surveillance techniques and a project that could change everything they knew about human capabilities. "We have to keep this under wraps," one insisted. "If the public discovers what we're working on, it won't just be the government that suffers. The entire world could be thrown into chaos." Chapter 6. The Escape. Realizing she was in over her head, Amanda slowly began to back away. But as she did, her foot caught on a loose wire, sending a cascade of equipment clattering to the floor. The commotion sent her into a panic. Shouts erupted behind her. "Who's there?" a voice bellowed. Adrenaline surged through her as she sprinted back to the entrance. The facility's alarm blared, red lights flashing ominously. As she burst through the hatch and into the night air, her heart pounded in her ears. She didn't stop until she reached her car, fumbling to start the engine. As she drove away, she glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see military vehicles in pursuit, but only the open desert stretched behind her. Chapter 7. The Aftermath. Back in Rachel, Amanda was both exhilarated and terrified. She had uncovered something monumental, evidence of the secrecy that surrounded Area 51, but who would believe her? That night in the motel, she reviewed her notes and footage, trying to piece together her story. Just after midnight, a knock on her door jolted her from her thoughts. Cautiously, she opened it to find Sarah, the journalist she had met earlier. "I've been looking for you. I heard you might have found something important," Sarah said, concern etched across her face. Amanda hesitated. Should she share her findings, or would that put them both at risk? Ultimately, she decided that the truth needed to be told. They spent the night exchanging information, knowing that they could be in danger, but also realizing they were stronger together. Chapter 8. Unveiling the Truth. The next day, they formulated a plan to document their findings while remaining as discreet as possible. They worked together, creating a narrative that blended Amanda's first-hand experiences with the theories and stories about Area 51. But they knew they couldn't release it without substantial evidence to bolster their claims. After days of planning, they decided to return to the hills and gather more footage. Armed with improved equipment, they aimed not only to capture the base, but to record any potential aerial phenomena. They waited hours, hope waning as the sun dipped below the horizon. Just as they were about to call it a night, Amanda spotted something peculiar, a flash in the sky, darting rapidly across the horizon. "Look!" Amanda cried, pointing at the object. The flash turned into a glowing orb hovering in the distance, pulsing with color. Unbelieving, they recorded the extraordinary event, capturing the movement of the object as it zipped around unpredictably. The sight was mesmerizing and unsettling at once. Chapter 9. Fear and Recognition. When the orb abruptly shot upward and disappeared into the night, both Amanda and Sarah turned to each other, eyes wide with realization. They had witnessed something extraordinary, yet they also felt the weight of their discovery pressing down on them. "We need to get this footage out there," Sarah urged, excitement bubbling within her. This could change everything. As they drove back to Rachel, both women felt a strange mix of exhilaration and fear. Shortly after arriving, however, Amanda began receiving ominous messages. "Stop digging, or you'll regret it," one warned. The tone sent shivers down her spine. "I think they know about the footage," Amanda whispered, sharing her fears with Sarah. "What if they come after us?" "We can't let fear stop us from revealing the truth," Sarah replied, her voice steadier than Amanda felt. "But we have to be smart about this." Chapter 10. Publishing the Revelation. Carefully, they edited their footage, weaving together interviews, observations, and their own testimonies into a coherent narrative. They took every precaution to obscure some sensitive details, ensuring they wouldn't divulge too much about their methods or the specifics of the base. The moment they uploaded the documentary online, they felt a rush of adrenaline. The response was overwhelming, igniting passion among viewers and sparking conversations in online forums and news outlets. People were divided. Some hailed them as heroes, while others claimed it was all a hoax. However, their newfound fame came with repercussions. Another knock on Amanda's motel door came late one night, a dark figure waiting outside. "You need to leave town. Now," he warned in a low voice, glancing nervously into the shadows. The threat was clear. They had attracted unwanted attention. Chapter 11. The Final Stand. Knowing they were no longer safe in Rachel, Amanda and Sarah decided to escape and regroup elsewhere. They drove through the expansive desert, putting distance between themselves and the escalating danger. They eventually found refuge in a small hotel in Las Vegas, where they could lay low and plot their next move. However, the pressure of being hunted weighed heavily on both women. In the safety of their hotel room, they brainstormed how to leverage their platform to gain support against the threats. "We could reach out to other storytellers, investigate the claims of UFO sightings across the nation," Sarah suggested. As they planned their outreach, they realized they were more than merely journalists. They were now advocates standing on the front lines of the truth, beckoning others to join their cause. In Chapter 12, The Unexpected Alliance. One evening, weeks later, they received a message from an anonymous source, claiming to have vital information about a possible whistleblower from Area 51. Intrigued, Amanda and Sarah agreed to meet in a discreet location on the outskirts of town. The meeting took place in a dimly lit cafe, where they met an ex-military official named Mark, who had worked at Area 51. He was nervous but insisted on sharing what he knew. "The technology they're hiding isn't just about UFOs," he said, his hands trembling. "What do you mean?" Amanda pressed, leaning forward eagerly. "They're working on things that could change the course of human existence. Energy weapons, advanced propulsion systems, but it goes deeper than that. They're experimenting with genetic modifications, human and alien DNA synthesis. It's dangerous, and it's out of control. A cold chill swept through Amanda as Mark continued to speak. The implications of his claims felt astronomical, potentially life-altering for humanity. They have technology that could revolutionize the world, but they won't release it because of the chaos it could cause. Chapter 13. Fight Against Secrecy. With this new information, Amanda and Sarah recognized that their mission had evolved. They weren't just revealing tales of UFOs, they were shining a spotlight on the darker aspects of government secrecy. Together, they plotted a plan to gather testimonies from others who had worked in similar capacities, expanding their reach beyond the borders of Nevada. Empowered, they embarked on a nationwide tour, speaking at various conventions and engaging with UFO communities. Their efforts gained traction, attracting attention from various media outlets as they exposed the stories of others willing to speak out against the shadows. But with each passing day, the threats escalated. They received increasingly dangerous messages, and shadows seemed to linger just a bit too long as they moved from city to city. Their resolve only deepened, however. They knew they were on to something that could not be ignored. Chapter 1. The Invitation. It was a warm evening in Las Vegas when Jake Carter, a struggling investigative journalist, received an email that would change everything. It was from an anonymous source, the subject line reading simply, "Area 51, the truth awaits." Skeptical yet intrigued, Jake clicked open the message, his heart racing as he read the words that suggested a meeting at 7 p.m. 2 days later, at a diner in Rachel, Nevada, the closest town to the infamous Area 51. Through the years, Jake had written countless articles about conspiracy theories and government cover-ups, but the allure of Area 51 always fascinated him the most. Tales of aliens, UFOs, and secret military projects had captivated the public imagination. Now, with a potential insider willing to share classified information, he felt he grabbed hold of the story of a lifetime. His mind buzzed with excitement as he drove the 5 hours from Las Vegas to Rachel. As he approached the diner, he spotted the quirky Little L Inn, adorned with alien-themed memorabilia and filled with the chatter of fellow truth-seekers. The atmosphere was electric, buzzed with speculation and a sense of camaraderie among believers and skeptics alike. Chapter 2. The Meeting. Jake stepped into the diner, taking a deep breath, scanning the room for any sign of his contact. A weathered man sat alone in a booth, his face partially obscured by a baseball cap and sunglasses. This had to be him. "Are you Jake?" the man asked, his voice raspy. "Yes, and you must be..." Jake trailed off. "Call me Mark," he replied, sliding the cap off his head to reveal a lined face full of worry. "I used to work at Area 51. What I know could change everything." Jake pulled out his recorder as Mark leaned closer. The urgency in Mark's voice captured Jake's attention. He uncovered stories of reverse-engineered alien technology, shadowy government initiatives, and the powerful military-industrial complex that kept these secrets buried. "They have been keeping the truth hidden for decades," Mark insisted. "When the public learns about this, the world will never be the same." Chapter 3. The Investigative Journey. Emboldened by their conversation, Jake and Mark embarked on a series of interviews, gathering testimonies from former employees and residents who had glimpsed the secrets of Area 51. Mark's fearless recounting of events quickly drew the attention of locals eager to share their own stories. One night, they met with a former test pilot named Tom, who spoke of unmarked aircraft that soared above Nevada's skies. "They were faster than anything I'd ever flown, making sharp turns that should be impossible," Tom said, his eyes wide with recollection. "I swear I saw things up there that I can't explain." Jake felt a rush of adrenaline. Each new story added depth to the narrative. But with the growing interest came the realization that they were not alone in their quest. Someone was watching them. They received anonymous warnings to abandon their investigation, but the thrill of uncovering the truth kept them going. Chapter 4. The Darker Side of Secrets. As days turned into weeks, the pressure mounted. Jake and Mark discovered that their inquiries had caught the attention of powerful figures who didn't appreciate their curious nature. On a quiet evening, they returned to the Little L Inn only to find a message waiting for them. "It's not safe to continue," it read, scrawled in a hurried hand. They both knew they were crossing a line. Determined to press on, Jake and Mark started compiling their findings into a comprehensive report. They believed they had gathered enough evidence to shock the world. But the more they uncovered, the more dangerous their situation became. An unexpected danger loomed in their periphery, manifesting as unmarked cars following them and mysterious figures lurking in the shadows. Chapter 5. The Secret Code. Late one night, while sifting through old government documents and classified files Mark had shared, Jake stumbled upon a coded message. It hinted at a clandestine operation that involved extraterrestrial beings and experimental technology. They realized they had stumbled upon something monumental. "We need to decrypt this," Jake said with urgency. "This could blow the lid off everything." Mark nodded in agreement, but knew the risks of pursuing such information. "We have to be careful. There are people out there who will do anything to keep us quiet." As they worked frantically through the night, exchanging ideas and piecing together clues, they were unaware that their actions had not gone unnoticed. A pair of federal agents had been dispatched to monitor their every move, waiting for the right moment to intervene. Chapter 6. The Infiltration Plan. Jake knew they needed more than testimonies and documents. They needed proof. He proposed a bold plan to infiltrate Area 51 and capture undeniable evidence. Mark hesitated, but he understood the importance of their mission. This was bigger than both of them. Under the cover of darkness, armed with night vision goggles and cameras, they drove towards the perimeters of the base. They planned to enter through an unguarded entrance known only to a handful of insiders. As they approached, anxiety gripped Jake's chest. The magnitude of their decision weighed heavily on him. "This is it," Mark whispered, eyeing the darkness beyond the perimeter. As they crossed the threshold, their hearts raced in synchronization. The silence of the desert was punctuated only by their footsteps. They moved stealthily, cameras ready, hoping to capture evidence of the bizarre crafts they believed were hidden within the base's confines. Chapter 7. The Encounter. Inside the facility, they were astonished to discover rooms filled with vehicles that defied conventional design. Their shapes sleek and aerodynamic, unlike anything they had ever seen. Mark began documenting everything, his hands trembling with excitement. Then the unthinkable happened. As they explored a hangar filled with strange, otherworldly crafts, the alarm sounded. They were not alone. Guards rushed in, shouting commands. Panic set in as Jake and Mark darted for the nearest exit, adrenaline surging through their veins. "Over there," Jake yelled, pointing to a door that led outside. They could hear footsteps closing in behind them, the sound echoing ominously in the sterile corridors. "Keep moving," Mark urged, pushing through the door just as the guards closed in. They sprinted into the desert night, hearts pounding and lungs gasping for air. Chapter 8. The Aftermath. Collapsing in a heap near their vehicle, they barely managed to catch their breath. "We did it," Jake murmured, eyes wide with disbelief. They had infiltrated one of the most classified places on Earth, yet the realization of what lay ahead overwhelmed him. Would they ever be truly safe? Shaken but determined, they reviewed the footage they had captured. It was astounding, a plethora of images showing vehicles that seemed to hover above the ground, shot from angles that could not be dismissed as hoaxes. But they both knew the dangers of releasing this information. It could put their lives at risk. Jake had the footage uploaded to a secure server before setting off with Mark to escape the area. They needed to lay low while developing a strategy for how to present their revelations to the world without endangering themselves further. Chapter 9. Unveiling the Truth. Upon returning to the bustle of Rachel, Jake and Mark knew they had to go public. They organized a press conference, inviting journalists and enthusiasts to witness their findings firsthand. The anticipation grew in the desert town. As they unveiled the footage, hushed whispers surged through the crowd. Skeptics and supporters alike gasped as the images lit up the screen, showcasing advanced technology and unexplainable crafts. It was overwhelming, and the buzz of excitement turned into a tidal wave of response. Social media exploded as people clamored to learn more. But as the truth seeped into the public consciousness, the shadows started closing in around them. They received more threats, forcing them to look over their shoulders with every step. This newfound fame had a price, and the government would do everything in its power to protect its secrets. Chapter 10. The final stand days turned into weeks, and the pressure intensified. Jake and Mark found themselves in a constant battle to protect their lives while simultaneously uncovering the truth. Their once peaceful pursuit of uncovering secrets morphed into a harrowing fight for survival. They began gathering fellow enthusiasts and researchers, creating a movement fueled by the desire for transparency. Awareness spread like wildfire, and people everywhere began demanding accountability. The government was forced to respond, moving from denial to intimidation tactics. "I won't back down," Jake declared during one rally, emboldened by the support of their growing community. "We deserve to know what's hidden from us." Chapter 11. The Showdown. As the movement gained traction, tensions peaked. On a fateful night, federal agents raided their shared safe house. Jake and Mark, tipped off by a friend, barely managed to escape, their resolve and determination refusing to waver. With their community rallying behind them, they decided to confront the government publicly. They announced a second press conference, challenging authorities to provide clarity and transparency regarding Area 51. The tension in the air was palpable as the local and national media spooled in. As they stood before the cameras, the pressure reached a boiling point. "We demand answers, and we will not be silenced," Jake shouted. Chapter 12. Breaking Point. However, in a stunning turn of events, the government chose to respond with a press conference of its own. Officials dismissed Jake and Mark's claims as fabrications, and disinformation campaigns surged in an effort to discredit them. But the public was beginning to turn. Curiosity and anger bubbled beneath the surface. Suddenly, Jake's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Meet me at the old observatory. I have information that can help you." With no time to waste, he shared the message with Mark. They had to go. Someone was willing to help. That night, they made their way to the abandoned observatory. Inside, an unexpected figure awaited them, a former high-ranking government official who had worked closely with Area 51. "I couldn't stay silent anymore," he admitted. "I'll provide proof, but you need to understand the risks." Chapter 13, The Revelation. The official shared classified documents detailing military projects linked to Area 51, revealing a vast network of deception. With this new evidence, Jake and Mark felt emboldened. It was time to present it to the world. The following day, they uploaded the documents alongside their footage, linking it all together in what they hoped would be an unassailable case. As they pressed send, a mixture of fear and hope washed over them. Hours passed, and as the information spread like wildfire, they watched the public reaction unfold. Overwhelming support and a surge of outrage directed toward the government. This was the moment they had fought tirelessly for. Awareness was blossoming, but with it came renewed threats. Chapter 1. The Invitation. Jake Hawkins had always been fascinated by the mysteries of the universe. Growing up in a small town in New Mexico, tales of UFO sightings and government conspiracies filled his dreams. Thus, when he received an unexpected invitation from an anonymous source to investigate Area 51, the notorious military base in Nevada, he felt compelled to accept. The invitation arrived in a plain envelope, devoid of any identifying information except for a single line written in elegant handwriting: "The truth lies beneath the desert sky." Intrigued, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was his chance to uncover the secrets that consumed both his childhood and adult life. With a heart full of hope and a head full of questions, he packed his gear and set off toward the desolate Nevada desert, where whispers of aliens and government cover-ups danced in the wind. Chapter 2. Arrival in Rachel. As Jake drove through the desolate landscape, the vastness of the Nevada desert surrounded him. Dusty roads wound through low hills and sparse vegetation, occasionally interrupted by fragments of old military installations and warning signs proclaiming "restricted area." He arrived in Rachel, a quaint town that served as the unofficial gateway to Area 51. The town's small population made it feel like a forgotten outpost. At the Little Ale Inn, the place was buzzing with fellow seekers of the truth, each sharing their bizarre experiences. "Did you hear about the lights in the sky?" a man at the bar exclaimed, excitement glinting in his eyes. "I swear I saw an alien ship land last week." Jake smiled, intrigued. The shared stories of encounters reinforced his determination, enabling him to weave their tales into his upcoming investigation. After settling into his room, he spent the night researching, feeding off the energy of the place and the mystery it held. Chapter 3. Into the Shadows. Early the next morning, armed with a camera, notebook, and his trusty drone, Jake made his way towards Area 51. As he drove closer, the fear and thrill of being near a place of such secrecy swirled within him. He parked at a nearby lookout, a popular spot for curious tourists. From there, he set up his drone, desiring to capture footage of the base from above. As the drone ascended, he watched through the monitor as the vast expanse of the facility unfolded before him. Hangars, radar towers, and unmarked vehicles dotted the expansive area, a sight he had only seen in documentaries. Suddenly, his heart raced as he spotted a series of bright lights moving rapidly across the sky. Presenting impossible maneuvers, the lights danced in patterns that defied the laws of physics. In astonishment, he recorded the sight, knowing he had captured something extraordinary, something that might just be the breakthrough he needed. Chapter 4. The Encounter. Just as he was about to retrieve his drone, a feeling of dread washed over him. A black SUV pulled up, 3 men in suits stepping out and surveying the area. Jake hid behind a rock, his heart pounding in his chest. He could overhear snippets of their conversation. "Another one of these idiots with a drone?" One of them scoffed, rolling his eyes. "We need to tighten our leash on these civilians." Jake's instincts kicked in, pushing him to quickly retrieve his drone and make his getaway. The encounter felt surreal, like something out of an action movie. As he drove away, he realized that the stakes were higher than he had anticipated. Chapter 5. Allies and Adversaries. Returning to Rachel, Jake shared his narrative with local enthusiasts over drinks at the Little Ale Inn. Among them was Sarah, a passionate ufologist who had spent years researching Area 51. She leaned in close, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Did you see the lights? You're not the only one," she said, pulling out notebooks filled with sketches and recordings. "This place is a hotbed of activity. There are rumors of aliens, experimental aircrafts, and government secrets that could change everything." The duo quickly formed a bond, realizing they could amplify their findings together. They concocted a plan to dig deeper into the base's secrets, interviewing locals and former military personnel willing to share their stories. Chapter 6. The Gathering. With Sarah's connections and Jake's investigative skills, they arranged interviews with several former employees of Area 51. Each recounting painted a picture of fear and intrigue. Some maintained loyalty to the government, while others expressed regret for their roles in keeping secrets. "I worked on the propulsion systems," a retired engineer named Bill revealed, his voice shaking. What we developed could change transportation as we know it, but we were sworn to secrecy. And the things I saw, I wish I could tell the world. Each story fueled their determination to expose the truth. Jake and Sarah spent their nights compiling evidence, documenting every interview and sighting. They could feel the momentum building, especially as more locals began to rally around them. Chapter 7. The Backlash. However, parallels soon emerged. Anonymous threats began appearing on their doorsteps, warning them to cease their investigation or face severe consequences. Jake felt the weight of the threats, his heartfelt mission now becoming a fight for safety and truth. One night, as they prepared for another interview, an unexpected visitor knocked on their door. It was Mark, a former government agent turned whistleblower who had worked closely with Area 51's elite staff. With a conflicted expression, he entered. "I can't let you continue alone," he said, sincerity evident in his voice. "You need to know what you're up against. There are forces at play that will do whatever it takes to silence you." Mark explained the internal operations at Area 51. The advanced crafts, reverse engineering of alien technology, and projects so secret and advanced that even top officials were kept in the dark. He warned them that they had attracted unwanted attention from the government. Chapter 8. A Desperate Plan. Realizing the urgency of their situation, Jake and Sarah knew they had to act fast. They devised a plan to gather an even larger coalition of supporters and create a public forum to share their findings. They needed to ensure their safety through transparency. If the public learned of their efforts, the government might hesitate to silence them outright. The duo tapped into their network, reaching out to media outlets and fellow truth seekers across the country. As word spread about the forum, excitement rippled through the community. Tickets sold out quickly, and anticipation mounted. As they prepared for the event, they understood the risks. But together, they had formed a bond rooted in a shared purpose, a relentless pursuit of truth that connected them all. Chapter 9. Secrets Revealed. On the day of the forum, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and apprehension. Jake stood at the podium, flanked by Sarah and Mark. They presented eyewitness accounts, recorded footage, and documentation revealing the depth of secrecy surrounding Area 51. As Jake spoke, he could feel the tension in the room dissipate, replaced by determination and hope. Eyewitness accounts filled the audience with awe. Stories of lights, encounters, and astonishing claims about alien technology captivated everyone. The room erupted with applause, and the enthusiasm infectious. The media coverage skyrocketed, and soon their message reverberated far beyond the desert, reaching those hungry for the truth. But even as the event progressed, Jake couldn't shake the feeling of impending danger. Chapter 10. The Fallout. Following the forum, the backlash was swift. The government, desperate to regain control over the narrative, initiated a campaign to discredit them. Unfounded accusations began circulating, claiming they were conspiracy theorists seeking fame. Feeling increasingly vulnerable, Jake and Sarah sought refuge in the community, where supporters rallied around them. Despite the threats, they were determined to continue their investigation. Once again, allies emerged, former insiders who felt compelled to come forward. Their bravery helped counter the disparagement. Yet, with each new revelation, the danger escalated. Anonymous threats turned into potential attacks. Messages warning them to stop or face severe consequences filled their inboxes. Chapter 11. The Turning Point. Amid the chaos, the trio decided they needed concrete evidence, something undeniable that couldn't be dismissed as conspiracy. The idea of attempting to penetrate deeper into Area 51 was daunting, yet essential. The plan was to gather unequivocal proof of the advanced technology being developed there. With Mark's military insights and Sarah's connections, they began forming a strategy for an upcoming infiltration. Jake felt adrenaline coursing through his veins, aware that this could be the defining moment of their journey. They prepared meticulously, ensuring they had equipment and backup plans in place. Chapter 12. The Infiltration. Under the cover of darkness, Jake, Sarah, and Mark made their way to the outskirts of Area 51. Armed with night vision goggles and cameras, they approached a less monitored entrance. Their hearts raced as they navigated the terrain, adrenaline fueling their every step. Upon entering the base, they were met with a surreal sight. Massive hangars concealed crafts that looked both familiar and alien, a juxtaposition of cutting-edge technology. As they sneaked deeper, they spotted personnel conducting tests and operations that seemed far beyond anything they had ever witnessed. Jake quietly filmed everything, knowing this footage would make waves. But as they continued to document, a sudden alarm blared through the facility. Panic ensued and chaos erupted. Chapter 13. The Escape. "Run!" Mark shouted, urgency spilling from his lips. The trio sprinted through the labyrinth of hangars, adrenaline pushing them to their limits. Behind them, they could hear shouts of security personnel in pursuit. The journey back to the entrance felt eternal, each step echoing the impending danger. As they pushed through the exit, they could see lights flashing in the distance. They made a break for it, hearts pounding as they dodged searchlights scanning the area. Finally reaching their vehicle, they jumped inside, not daring to look back. As Jake turned to the ignition, he felt a mixture of relief and terror. They'd just uncovered something extraordinary, but the reality of the risks weighed heavily on their shoulders. Chapter 14. Truth at a Price. As the dust settled back in Rachel, they watched their footage, a mix of exhilaration and fear blending together. The images displayed undeniable proof of the secrets hidden at Area 51. Yet, they also understood the price they may have to pay for this truth. The video went viral, sparking intense debates across news platforms and social media. Despite the government's best efforts to silence them, the truth resonated with the public. People began to demand accountability, catalyzing a movement advocating for transparency and uncovering hidden agendas. However, the repercussions of their actions weighed heavily. Messages grew increasingly threatening, and they knew they had crossed a line that could lead to dire consequences. Mark, once a protector, now transformed into a target, faced challenges tied to his former ties. Chapter 1. The Spark of Curiosity. In a small town in Nevada, the air hung thick with secrets and stories. The mystical allure of Area 51 captivated tourists, conspiracy theorists, and journalists alike. Among these eager seekers of truth was Emily Carter, a young investigative reporter from Los Angeles. Known for her tenacity and a nose for stories, Emily had always been fascinated by the tales of extraterrestrial experiences and government cover-ups surrounding the infamous military base. As she prepared to journey into the heart of the Nevada desert, Emily recalled late-night discussions with her grandfather about UFOs and government conspiracies. His stories had instilled not just a sense of wonder, but a determination to uncover the truth. This journey was not just a job for Emily. It was a quest to validate her grandfather's beliefs and to unveil the truth shrouded by the government's veil of silence. Chapter 2. The Road to Rachel. Emily's journey began at dawn, with the sun casting golden hues onto the desolate landscape. The drive to Rachel, the nearest town to Area 51, was both exhilarating and eerie. A modest settlement adorned with alien-themed signs welcomed her, a testament to the town's recognition as the unofficial hub for UFO enthusiasts. She checked into a quirky motel, the Little Ale Inn, where the owner, a charismatic local named Bob, shared tales that blended folklore with personal experiences. "You wouldn't believe the things people have seen out here," Bob chuckled, pouring a mug of coffee. One guy swore he was taken aboard a ship and returned with a glowing crystal. Emily smiled, heart racing with excitement. She had always wanted to believe in something extraordinary. That night, she laid plans to drive as close to Area 51 as possible, curious to witness the secrets that lay beyond the gates. Chapter 3. The Approach. The following morning, Emily set out early, her heart pounding with anticipation. The road leading to the base was lined with ominous restricted area signs, warning against trespassing. Undeterred, she parked her car at a viewing point several miles away, where other adventurers had gathered, armed with cameras and binoculars. As she set up her equipment, the sun glimmered off the distant mountains, and the vast expanse of desert stretched for miles. Emily could feel the weight of the unknown, as if the very land was alive with secrets. She scanned the sky, searching for anything unusual. The other visitors exchanged stories about sightings and encounters, fueling her determination to locate the truth. Suddenly, a figure in military fatigues appeared on the horizon. Emily's heart raced as the soldier approached the gathered crowd. "You're not allowed to be here," he called out firmly. "Turn back now, or you're risking arrest." A tense silence fell over the group, but Emily's curiosity only heightened. The soldier's presence felt like a warning and a challenge at the same time. With her heart racing, she made a decision. This was only the beginning. Chapter 4. Into the shadows. After the soldier departed, Emily drove towards a more secluded area, the outskirts of the base. As she maneuvered her car along the rugged terrain, she stumbled upon a secret entrance partially obscured by brush. Was this a forgotten path? It felt like destiny calling her name. With caution overtaking her instinct, she parked and approached. As she pressed forward through the underbrush, the sight of a hidden hatch sent a thrill down her spine. She pulled at the handle, heart pounding in her ears. The door creaked open to reveal a dimly lit staircase leading downward, a portal to the unknown. Was she ready to descend into whatever lay beneath this notorious facility? Gathering her courage, Emily stepped into the shadows. The smell of metal and stale air engulfed her as she navigated the narrow corridor. Flickering lights overhead barely illuminated her path, but she pressed on, fueled by an insatiable hunger for truth. Chapter 5. Secrets Unveiled. The corridor opened into a large, cavernous chamber filled with odd machinery and screens flickering with images she couldn't comprehend. Her heart raced as she spotted a table covered in blueprints and diagrams, each one depicting advanced technology beyond her wildest imagination. What were they doing down here? Suddenly, she heard voices echoing from a nearby room. With her heart pounding, she pressed her ear against the door, straining to listen. "We need to expedite our operations. The public can't know what we're working on," one voice said, tinged with urgency. Emily's breath caught in her throat. This was the confirmation she had long sought. The government was hiding something monumental, and she was here to expose it. Before she could collect her thoughts, a shadow crossed the threshold. Panic surged. She quickly turned on her heels and fled through the corridors, her heart racing as she retraced her steps to the surface. She burst through the hatch, desperation guiding her back into the warm desert air. Chapter 6. A close call. As she reached her car, Emily caught her breath, adrenaline still coursing through her veins. She drove away, heart racing with a mix of exhilaration and fear. Little did she know, she was not alone. A black SUV had been tailing her for miles, its occupants likely aware of her presence and intentions. In the rearview mirror, she watched as red and blue lights began flashing behind her. Anxiety surged. Were they chasing her? Forced to pull over, Emily's mind raced. What do they know? How did they find me? A uniformed officer approached, his expression unreadable. "You need to come with us for questioning," he said sternly. Fear plunged deep into her stomach. She couldn't afford to be taken in. This story was too important. Mustering her courage, Emily decided to make a bold move. Chapter 7. The Escape. "Sorry, officer, but I'm just passing through," she exclaimed, hastily putting her car in gear. The officer stepped back in surprise as she accelerated away from the scene. Emily's heart raced as she sped down the lonely road, leaving the SUV behind in a cloud of dust. "Get out of the way," she muttered to herself, gripping the steering wheel tightly. The weight of her discovery loomed heavily as she plotted her next move. She needed to expose the truth, but now the stakes were higher than ever. She would have to be careful, or she might lose everything. As she drove, thoughts raced through her mind. She couldn't go back to Rachel and risk capture. She needed allies, people who understood the significance of her discovery and could help her expose the truth about Area 51. Chapter 8. Rallying the troops. Emily decided to head to Las Vegas. More people, more connections, and a better chance of finding someone willing to help her. Upon her arrival, she made her way to a popular bar known for its UFO-themed nights. This was a gathering place for enthusiasts, and she hoped to find someone who could assist her. As she entered, vibrant conversations filled the air, along with laughter and the clinking of glasses. She approached a group gathered at a table, sharing wild alien stories. Emily introduced herself, recounting her discoveries and the dangers she had faced. "You're serious?" a burly man exclaimed, eyes wide. "Area 51 is real, and you have proof?" Emily nodded, pulling out her phone and showing them the sketches and diagrams she had captured. The group fell silent, absorbing the gravity of her words. After a moment, the man shook his head in disbelief. "You need to take this to a higher level. You're sitting on something huge." Chapter 9. Plotting the course. Inspired by the group's enthusiasm, Emily spent the rest of the night brainstorming strategies and gathering contacts. People shared their own encounters, each story edging her closer to confirmation of the truths she sought. The buzz of anticipation in the air was infectious. Emily felt rejuvenated. With newfound allies, they discussed hosting a public forum, an event to raise awareness and, if possible, uncover more information. "This isn't just about us anymore," Emily stated passionately. "It's about everyone who deserves to know the truth." Days turned into weeks as they set the stage for their forum, reaching out to former military personnel, researchers, and recognized figures in the UFO community. The event gained traction, gathering interest from both the public and media. Emily, once just a lonely investigator, had transformed into a voice for the voiceless. Chapter 10. The Countdown to Truth. As the day of the forum approached, excitement and nerves clashed within Emily. They would debut evidence and stories that had remained hidden for so long. But apprehension lingered. She was acutely aware of the potential dangers that could arise. The day finally arrived, and attendees flocked to the venue, filling the seats and overflowing into the hallways. Emily stood backstage, anticipation coursing through her. She could hear the crowd buzzing with conversations, stories echoing back and forth. When it was finally time to speak, Emily took a deep breath. As she stepped onto the stage, she scanned the audience, gathering the courage to unveil her findings. "We are not just here to entertain the mysteries of Area 51, she began, "but to shed light on the darkness that surrounds it." Her presentation showcased everything she had uncovered. Evidence of advanced technology, personal stories, and insights from experts. The crowd hung on her every word. She knew she was making an impact. Chapter 11. The Aftermath of Revelation. After the event, the buzz was palpable. Social media exploded with reactions, and news outlets covered the forum extensively. Emily felt an overwhelming blend of triumph and fear. She knew the stakes had risen once again. But with each success came mounting pressure. An anonymous message flashed on her phone, a stark reminder of the threats they faced. "You've gone too far. Leave it alone, or there will be consequences." In a meeting with her allies after the forum, the mood shifted. "We can't take this lightly," one of her companions cautioned. "The deeper we dig, the more dangerous it gets." Determined to persevere, Emily reiterated her commitment. "This is bigger than us. We can't back down now." They agreed to continue their investigation, taking extra precautions while seeking out even more sources willing to share their insights about the base. Chapter 12. Shadows of danger. As weeks went by, Emily received sporadic updates from her connections. Some had come forward with first-hand accounts of encounters, while others revealed unsettling information about experiments being conducted in the name of national security. Just when hope began glimmering on the horizon again, the consequences of her actions became clearer. One night, Emily received a call from Sarah, a fellow investigator who had been digging into the activities at Area 51. "Emily, something's gone horribly wrong. I think they're watching us. I can't stay here anymore." Heart racing, Emily realized the urgency of the situation. "Where can you go?" "I have some contacts who might help me disappear. This is bigger than anything we anticipated," Sarah replied, panic lacing her voice. "We may have provoked something we can't control." Emily felt the weight of her choices bearing down on her. This quest for truth was morphing into something more, a web of danger rooted deep within the unknown. She needed to act. Chapter 13, the final push. Knowing time was of the essence, Emily planned one last effort to expose the reality behind Area 51. She would compile all the evidence she had gathered, including the testimonies of credible sources who had worked at the base. The public needed to understand the implications of the secrets being kept from them. The final presentation was set to take place online, utilizing social media and streaming platforms to reach a wide audience. Emily knew that this could be their chance to break through the government's facade. If they could rally enough public support, they may force accountability. As she prepared to broadcast, she felt the familiar rush of adrenaline, each piece of evidence telling its story, carefully crafted and meticulously arranged. She glanced at the countdown timer as she prepared to go live. Chapter 14, Truth Unleashed. When the stream began, viewers poured in, captivated by Emily's revelations. She presented an amalgamation of hard evidence, emotional testimonies, and visual aids that painted a vivid picture of what lay within the confines of Area 51. "Tonight, we unveil not just the secrets of Area 51, but the importance of transparency and truth," she declared, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. As the footage rolled, showing declassified documents and interviews with former military personnel, the audience's reactions erupted. Social media exploded with hashtags and comments, gaining traction across the globe. But with a surge in interest came increased scrutiny. "This is dangerous, Emily," one of her trusted colleagues warned. "We're not just uncovering the truth, we're triggering backlash from higher powers that may want us silenced." Tension mounted, but Emily was undeterred. Her fear turned into determination. She was now a voice for the oppressed and the unheard. Chapter 15, A New Dawn. Days after the live stream, Emily continued receiving messages, some of encouragement and support, others steeped in threats. Yet she felt empowered by the collective voices who had rallied behind her, urging her to continue her fight. Organizations dedicated to uncovering government secrets began to form coalitions, and before long, a movement emerged. People demanded answers about the activities at Area 51, and public pressure mounted for transparency. Although the road ahead remained uncertain, Emily and her allies prepared for the future, knowing they had ignited a spark of change. The world was beginning to question what lay beyond the veil, and they would continue to shine a light into the darkness. As she looked out over the Nevada desert, Emily felt a mixture of hope and resolve. The journey had transformed her, a once solitary seeker of truth, now part of a greater purpose. The mysteries of Area 51 would continue to unfold, and she was ready to face whatever came next, driven by the belief that the truth, no matter how hidden, deserved to be revealed. Epilogue. The journey continues. Years passed, and Emily's work led to significant changes in transparency concerning government operations. She traveled the world, sharing her experiences and advocating for freedom of information, knowing that knowledge could bring empowerment. But as Emily reflected on her journey, she understood that the pursuit of truth is a continuous path filled with both challenge and discovery. While Area 51 remained a symbol of secrecy, her story had become one of resilience and courage, a reminder that even in the face of danger, standing up for truth could lead to a brighter future. With the stars shining brightly overhead and the desert whispers gently stirring the wind, Emily knew one thing: the quest for knowledge and understanding was far from over.